All right, Module 5, welcome. So this one is all about inventory and cash accountability. So things like till management, inventory tracking, support for our ordering systems. And excited that you're here today, so let's keep going. All right, so while this stuff isn't really glamorous, managing inventory and cash accountability are part of a larger cog at the restaurant. If not done properly, can make the difference between opening and closing our doors on a daily, weekly, or forever basis. If we just don't do this stuff right, or if we don't have accountability in place every single day, we're not going to stay open. You're going to learn here about some of the expenses that we have in a restaurant and why it's so important. But right now, we're glad you're here and part of this training so that you can be a part of this cog and learn more and help us to succeed as a business and as a group, as a team. So because money matters, whether it's the drawer being count or beer orders done properly, small errors really can add up fast. So you're really not just helping the business run, you're protecting the bottom line. That's the truth, okay? So Amigo is one of only a few restaurants in Alpine, and it is a small town. We have a great group of loyal patrons that come to us every day, every week, month after month. But then we have these peak periods where we have tourism, and when stress gets high, this is when mistakes happen. Okay, and so we need to make sure that we have systems in place and we have people in place who can basically uphold the system and work through it, give us feedback, and always try to make improvement so that we're protecting our bottom line. All right. So Shift Lead helps protect the business's bottom line, right? Small errors can add up, and you're part of this big accountability system. So the truth is, there's probably more than like 20 ways that we can expend money, more probably. There's only two major ways that we do make money, right? So you probably guessed it, selling food and drink. That's what we do in a restaurant. If you don't know, what we're really talking about here is something called COGS, okay? So cost of goods sold, COGS, cost of goods sold is COGS. But COGS, so this is things like our food that we use to make our recipes and our meals, and then even alcohol inventory is an alcohol COG that we then go in to make drinks, right? So COGS and staffing, those two costs account for about 60% or sometimes more of any business. In our business, we try to keep these to about 60%. So it's crucial that we have a system in place and playmakers like you to help be a part of this accountability system. Here's an image I just wanted to share. Obviously, this is the V formation that we all know from birds in nature. So why do the birds do that? Okay, I'm sure you know. You remember that the strongest, most valuable bird is up front because they have to use the most effort to cut the wing, and then the others behind it get to benefit from reduced effort. Sometimes they switch, I'm sure, which we have multiple shift leads, but the point here is as a shift lead, you are like the bird up front. So we know it's more effort to go from being just a peer to now going into being a supervisor, to keep the pace of a shift, to keep your eyes and ears open and make sure that you're looking around for any errors, omissions, so that we have accountability in the business right every day. So we hope that this more effort is the reward itself, because obviously you're getting moved up into a new pay scale, but the reward is knowing that you have led your team each shift for a win, right? So the win in our case is getting more tips, better equipment. As we manage costs on a daily basis, then we can invest in more equipment, more chairs, more fatigue mats, all the things that we all want. But again, 60% of our expenses every month, every year goes to COGS and goes to staffing. And so if we're not managing this stuff, we're kind of screwed in terms of making continuous investment into the business, which we want to do. So thanks for being here, and let's keep going and talk about it now. All right, so what are you responsible for as a shift lead? You're going to be responsible for cash handling responsibilities. So obviously you're going to load tills at the open and balance at the close of shifts. You may need to count the drawers at shift change and ensure that there's tip accuracy. That second part is important, right? So obviously our front of house staff are making tips. So we need to make sure that you are trained and you are responsible and you are accountable and able to actually ensure that tips are distributed accurately. We also are going to have you participate in entering data into the till management sheet. So this is that administrative sort of participation and support for the restaurant. And then you're going to also report discrepancies immediately. So immediately, that's the key word, right? So we need to know if somebody stole a dollar, right? Because if someone steals a dollar every day, that's $365. If two people do that, that's $720, right? So every single thing adds up. If we find coins on the ground that are meant to be in the little cups in the back of the office, let's put them back in the back of the office. All right, so always double check your work, always double check people's work, and if the numbers are off, investigate it and report it right away to your manager. And I look forward to working with you guys too as we meet somewhat regularly, and you can give me your feedback. Okay, so besides cash handling, you're going to be doing till and safe management. So this starts by counting the tills with the person you're relieving. Okay, so at close, ensure that all cash is accounted for and the drawer balances make sense with the sales. Log everything in the till sheet again and secure it all in the safe. So it's important to remember here, okay, that you've been picked. Okay, you've been picked. We trust you already. We want to trust you even more. It comes with responsibility, but only entrusted team members need to handle this step. They're the only ones that are getting keys and cash. So when we go through different staffing, we need to change our lock codes and make sure that you guys are updated. But I want to just take a quick note here to make the point that communication is so important. Okay, so communication with each other as shift leads, communication with managers. We're going to use 7Shifts or whatever scheduling platform app that we're using. We'll have a separate chat for you guys as shift leads / manager, and you guys can mention things like every night, right? So we were $5 short. I couldn't find it. I want to speak to you, Trent, tomorrow because I think I might know what happened, right? So maybe you don't want to feel comfortable putting it all out there, but you need to communicate that, hey, there's an issue that I need to follow up with you on. Okay, so you'll also be helping out with inventory duties, all right? So again, 30% or possibly a little bit more, depends on the month, but 30% of our costs go to managing our COGS, cost of goods sold. So you may be tasked with counting liquor on a certain day, beer, wine, supplies, food in the back, etc. You may be tasked also just with counting cups, right? Simple things that we need support for our managers, just plain and simple, right? So as you move into this leadership role, this is part of your duties. Monitoring PAR levels is important. So these PAR levels are what we aim to have on hand, giving us feedback. So if you work every Friday, Saturday night, and you notice that, hey, something's happened in town, everyone really loves the burgers and we need to sort of look at our PAR. So you put that in your chat to your managers and to your shift leads. And then we can look at what let's say it's 196 burgers that we buy for the weekend. That feedback goes to Trent. Trent talks to me, gives me a reason that we're going to go up in that PAR, and we do it, right? So communicating any low stock and overstock is important, and just being keep in mind that you're the eyes and you're the eyes and ears, and you give notes to the manager to help accurate orders. So never guess and don't delay anything, right? So importantly, never guess. We should have a system. We should have tangible inventory forms. You're going to be learning these things, giving us input. We're always getting better. Okay, so order support is what we just talked about a little bit. So sometimes you will be participating in this. So at the very least, you probably will be receiving orders. So just check them for accuracy. Make sure that the sheet that is given to us, and we had 6 cases of Bud Light and 2 cases of Dos Equis, actually physically check those. So it goes back to what I said in an earlier module about don't just say did you for the servers, and when you're doing till sheet accuracy and checking out people, don't just say did you do your side work, go visually check for accuracy that they did their side work properly. So here in the inventory process, check for it, put your initials on it, and then put the product away. When you put the product away, don't just leave the boxes out anywhere, right? So make sure the boxes go into the recycling bin in the recycling dumpster. Trash goes in the trash dumpster. If you need a second, put it on the side. Make sure that in your next figure 8, you're going to go back and fix that, right? And you're going to put it outside. So if you're ever asked to assist in placing orders, just follow the system, right? We have a system in place that you can learn, and if that's something that you're interested in, that just adds the skills for you as a person. We want you to grow. We want you to become a manager here. Some people may leave Alpine and go somewhere else. We want you to put us as a reference, and we want people to know that Amigo in Alpine is a great place to work. So don't just reorder what was there before. Use the inventory guide to guide you, right? So store products properly and avoiding waste. Waste also can account, if not checked regularly and held accountable, waste itself So an extra scoop of butter in the back when you're making some food, or an extra squeeze of ketchup. All of this stuff, we're open almost 360 days a year. This stuff adds up, and it can, essentially increase our costs more than what we budgeted for, which is the problem. All right, so here's how we can avoid common mistakes. Number one common mistake is don't assume that issues are not your job, right? So now moving into leadership, everything is your job, right? And by that, obviously take that with a grain of salt. You're not going to fix the AC immediately or even call for that. You're going to let your manager know about that, okay? But everything on that shift is your job. You need to run a tight ship on the shift. And if you notice theft, waste, or cash mistakes, don't say something. Don't push them under the rug, right? That's on you too. So if we notice in over time that something's happening every Tuesday and you're the shift lead, we're going to come to you first and ask what's going on. So if you see something, say something, right? So speak up. You're part of leadership now. So take ownership in this role. Know that you will be supported. Ask questions. Tell us what support you need. Anything like this. It's very exciting that you're part of the team now. All right, so just as a quick side, this is the Godfather movies here. So I'm not telling you to literally be a mafioso, right? So you're not gonna go attack people for not doing their job. So I just wanna make that clear. We've talked about before how we go and how we motivate our staff is really to show them, bring them along to participate with them, and then ask them to hold that standard, right? And so we're not the Godfather, we're not the mafia here, and so let's not act like it. Let's be respectful, and let's make sure we're doing a good job. All right, so final thoughts on all this stuff, and of course you're gonna have links to some files that you're gonna be reviewing, but money and inventory may not be the most fun part of the job, or maybe they are. Maybe you're like me, you're analytical, you like some of the nuts and bolts of things. But it's just essential to keep Amigo strong and sustainable. So respect these numbers. Again, ask questions, fine. But we may say, okay, our budget is 30% on this particular product. So let's say it's whiskey. We have a 30% budget for it. And you say, look, we really need a 35%. We might say we can't do that yet, but we hear you, we understand, we want to know why you want that. And with good reason, we'll go up, all right? If you can sell it, we'll go up. So be precise, proactive, and trustworthy. That's the most important thing. Not only are we respecting the numbers, but we're being respectful of each other. That's from me to you, you to me, you to everybody to each other. And lead like this is your own business, okay? So it's not your own business at the moment, and I'm not saying that for any other reason than we have layers of support for you. So know that we want you to take some sort of respectable risks over time. Just lead like it's your business. If you have a guest who comes in and they're from Dallas and they had a bad experience, but just doing one little thing like comping that ticket item, the one item is going to fix they're going to be still a 4 or 5 star guest, and you get to know them, you know their name, and you thank them for being here. We're going to understand that, okay? So lead like this is your business. Make good decisions. We'll review them over time, and we'll always be making better decisions as we go along. Thanks.